Hi, everyone. I'm Mara Webster, SAG-AFTRA Foundation, and we are here for another one of our conversations at home. I'm really fortunate to be joined by Connie Nielson, who is starring in the upcoming film Sea Fever. And I wanted to jump into asking you about the release of the film, because I know that, this is one of many independent films that was set to have a theatrical release and is now coming out via video on demand, and how that's been for you and the rest of the team in navigating the new ways that you're going to connect, because I saw it's going to be the first film to have a virtual premiere, which is amazing.
Obviously sad that people don't get to have the experience in the theater. It was really wonderful when we were at Toronto Film Festival with the movie in September to hear and experience people's reactions to the film. But on the other hand, hey, we're adapting. That's the name of the game anyway, so we're adapting.
And I feel like, since we're in the current situation that we're in, and the movie is dealing with a group of people who are isolated on a boat, and there's a potential contagion, but they don't know where it's coming from, and it doesn't show up for a few days. There's a lot of parallels that people are drawing now. Are you finding that the film is connecting with people in a new and different way because of that?
Back in September, when we first showed it to audiences, I think everybody was feeling the urgency with the environment, and so they were seeing a lot of parallels to the central narrative as a form of a sort of a metaphor for nature answering back against a human behavior. Obviously, now you're seeing the same variety of human behavior. You have people who are directly sabotaging other people by trying to deliberately spread disease. You have other people who are ignoring the risks and choosing to be unaffected by it and not to take it seriously. And then you have people who are being smart, responsible, and I think the great majority of people are just doing what they can to protect their families.
Yeah, and I was curious, particularly for your character, there's obviously the elements in the film of science and biology, but your character isn't necessarily the one that has that background as in-depth as Siobhan. And I was curious what specific research you ended up doing that was really valuable for your character story.
For her, the overriding concern for her is to take care of her people, to get them safely to shore and get them in treatment. I think we have an incredible dialogue right between Hermione and myself, where you really see those two opposing ideas. Hermione's character, the scientist, believes no, we can't risk other people's lives on the land. Everybody here has to basically stay, even if it means that we die. Whereas Freya, my character, says, I'm sorry, that is crazy. We need to get these people help so we can save lives, get the right to play God. And I just love the delicacy of both arguments.
Yeah, and there's, in terms of the tone of the film, there's such a well-crafted sense of suspense and a real atmosphere amongst every single scene. And I was curious how you think about that from your performance and your standpoint as an actor, because there's elements of that which are added later on with effects and with music and audio, but also some of that comes from your performance. So how do you think about the way that you're going to bring that into the film from your side of things?
Like any good movie, you don't really have like this you don't see the monster, so to speak, a lot. What you get to see is how that monster affects us and how scary that monster is.
I imagine that you were all very much right in each other's faces. So how is that different to other film shoots that you've done?
So a lot of people, when they see the film, they think we're at sea, but we actually only spent 2 days moored in a harbor, where the first 2 days of our shoot, in fact, we are on a stage and shooting inside of really well done sets. So we forgot sometimes that we weren't on a boat, even though we were aware, of course, that we were on a stage. But yes, it was the illusion was really well done, even for us.
I know that you had the couple who actually run that trawler boat on hand and on set. So what were some of the useful things that helped you with for once you were on a stage instead, in terms of understanding how everything operates on the boat? Because you obviously have to come across as someone who spent a huge amount of time and lived on boats and been in these situations and very natural and comfortable in that environment.
So I actually come from a fishing community. So it was very easy for me having the couple who trained, so to speak, take us out to sea and have us sail the boat and really get to know the boat. It made the actual we're doing the actions inside of the stage set feel very real and natural, because we had really just trained on that.
Yeah. And that experience growing up in a town where that was part of the industry and people's day-to-day life, did that help you to understand the mindset and develop some of the different layers of playing her as well?
Absolutely. I hope that the desperation that these people are living under came across in the film. It was very important to me that the reality of these working people living at the edge of ruin every day, always hoping that the next catch is going to set them straight, seeing how they are outperformed by a new kind of fishery, a fishery that basically is a floating giant fish factory, and which has access to much larger amounts of capital that these small town fisher families cannot access, and that therefore the social fabric has broken down and has changed. The city I come from, the closest fishing village, has lost something like 40% of its population in the last 10-15 years.
Wow. I was also curious a little bit about costume, because I think often in acting, costume really helps you to find a character, and something like this, it's interesting in a completely different way, because you're essentially wearing one outfit the entire time. And was that an element that helped you to find and uncover your character?
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, when the last day rolled around and I didn't have to get into my smelly, oily, enormous clothes, it was a great relief not to wear that clothes again.
So it's a unique environment with you and the rest of the cast in terms of the physical space that you're making the film in, but also to be making a film with so few castmates as well. And I was interested in the work that you all did together to navigate and craft what that was going to look like on screen, and how you were going to find the moments and the scenes together.
That's always, almost always the director, and it's a talent that some directors have. It's really, when you see on screen that these people are gelling, it's because the director has done a casting where these energies just gel, because we did. We just all gelled on stage. We all sat and hung around one little heater in a corner and just chatted all day. We were together 24/7. After shooting, we would go have dinner together, go to the local little wine store and have charcuterie and wine and chat more. So what you're feeling on the set is basically, on the film, is basically the same camaraderie and connection that we all had on set.
That's so wonderful. And obviously that's usually a rarity as opposed to the way that it is on every film set. And speaking of the importance of directing, Neasa Hardiman, who both wrote and directed, how does that give you a unique ability to really uncover your character when you have such daily access to the writer? Because that's also, again, something that isn't usually a given on a film set.
It really was, because she was so able to describe exactly what she meant to say with a different scene. She knew why she had chosen this word instead of another word. She knew exactly what she wanted, what she had imagined, and she would strategically share with us what story she had in mind. when she had the characters do different things. And she's awesome. She really is awesome.
Yeah. What was the environment that she created on set and some of the things that she did to really make it a conducive space for all of you?
First of all, she understands actors really well. So she speaks to us like this very benevolent mother and uses praise all the time. She's like a really good mom. She wants you to do something different than what you're doing. She'll say, that was really great. That was really wonderful. Perhaps bring in this other element as well. We would be like, Neasa, just tell me it sucked. We'll do it a different way. But no, it didn't suck. It was amazing. I'm looking for this little element here as well. She's awesome.
That's amazing. For your performance, what would you say was the most valuable piece of preparation that you did before you walked onto set for you?
It was in the writing. She wrote a beautiful woman, all too rare on screens. A woman with a sturdy and natural leadership, somebody who is able to protect her crew and her husband, somebody who loves her husband and yet is also fully aware of his vulnerabilities, these vulnerable sides. She wrote this beautiful character, and then she told me a few stories about what she had in mind and what had occasioned this particular backstory, and it was very moving and lovely.
Yeah. And kind of talking of backstory, because obviously we're only seeing this character in a very short space of time. Do you develop a lot of that backstory and create that history to very easily, fluidly flow into what her motivation would be, what her response would be to each of the situations she's faced with?
Yeah. The backstory is like this anchor inside, and you use that and you draw on that, and it sort of becomes like the gravity inside of your character. That's how I use backstory. It's like it's at a center. You don't see it, you don't know it, but you feel it. You can sense it.
That's so wonderful. Was there a particular scene in the movie that you found to be the most challenging or kind of offered the most obstacles in terms of what you had to overcome to achieve it?
Yes, there was a scene. My character has this obsession with this Irish story called Niamh Cinor. Mm-hmm. And I could not say Niamh Cinor the right way. I thought I was saying it the right way. So she said, no, it's Niamh Cinor. I said, yes, Niamh Cinor. And she was like, no, it's Niamh Cinor. And I was like, yes, Niamh Cinor. And honestly, I thought I was saying Niamh Cinor, but it just didn't have like the exact right way of saying Niamh Cinor. So I went through the Niamh Cinor 1,000 times. And, it's a very important moment because the Niamh Cinor is the name of the boat, but it's also the name of a girl who sacrifices herself to save other people and or for love, I believe. And then the beautiful myth that I tell to the scientist played by Hermione Corfield, and Hermione is playing the scientist as somebody who has like a case of Asperger's, and so this beautiful myth completely misses the mark with her. She does not really recognize it, but it also is connected to the story between her and her husband and the loss that this couple really has and has dealt with.
That's so beautiful. And then I also just wanted to ask kind of what you feel that you learned about your craft as an actor from making this specific project in this film.
Well, I don't know what I learned. I mean, I think you learn every day, right? It's a process that always continues to grow with you always. I, for one, loved not having, any emphasis at all on hair and makeup or clothing, that everything was really about just playing these people. There was no glam squad that way. And I really enjoyed that. I was very conscious of trying to play as authentic as possible and not, bring any vanity into the film at all. And I find it freeing, really, when you are able to play somebody without any regard at all to what you look like. I just love that. When I did Brothers with Susanna Bier, it was one of the most thrilling things back then, because it was a dogma style film, to not have any makeup on. I just loved it. It was fantastic.
That's so wonderful. And I really, really appreciate you taking the time to talk about the film. And I hope that people watching this will check out Sea Fever when it comes out on video on demand this week. And it's such a great thing to be watching right now, especially I think because of all those parallels. So thank you so much, Connie.
My pleasure. Bye.